Okay, all right. It's time to get into some feedback that you sent into the in-depth mailbag over the past week, and I want to focus on one topic that got a ton of response. Lots of you sent in some messages about President Trump's executive order on burning the American flag. Travis said, I find it interesting how people consider flag burning as an act of freedom of speech. I think it's more of them expressing feelings that they can't reasonably articulate. And you might be right there, Travis, but that counts as speech. It's not just the spoken word. Kneeling during the anthem, that's considered speech. When you give money to a candidate, that is protected speech. Music, art, theater, marching and holding signs with words on it, that's speech too. Even sometimes not speaking is considered speech and is protected, like students refusing to recite, for instance, the Pledge of Allegiance. The courts have decided on these issues many, many times. Denny said, there's something wrong, though, when I can't burn the leaves in my yard, but I can burn my flag that I served my country to protect. And I can understand this point, especially from someone who served this country. But he's kind of conflating two situations there. You see, burning leaves isn't illegal, but it can be illegal in certain neighborhoods, or if there's something like a burn ban in effect, things like that. In that case, it would be illegal to burn anything, leaves, flags, or anything else. You could try to argue free speech there, but the courts have ruled on this already. Ward versus Rock Against Racism back in 1989, when the New York City area wanted performers in Central Park to keep the volume down. The bands, though, argued it was their freedom of speech to play as loud as they want, but the courts ruled that the government can regulate time, place, and manner of speech as long as they leave ample alternative channels for expression. A little vague there, of course, yes, but this is why you can't play loud music after 10 p.m. in some neighborhoods, why you still need a permit if you want a large rally or a parade, and why cities can have things like burn bans for leaves in place. Free speech is one thing, starting a wildfire is another. But I should say, in the places where you can legally burn, you can legally burn a flag or any other symbol. That brings me to Christine's email. She said, I have no tolerance for burning a flag anywhere. I was born in Argentina. I came to the U.S. as an adult. After 5 years here, I applied for citizenship and obtained it very quickly. If I see someone burning the U.S. flag, I'll probably hit that person. I would feel the same way if someone burns a flag from another country. Now, Christine is clearly a passionate immigrant, and these symbols mean a lot to her, and her email speaks directly to the president's order. His order says my administration will prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate our laws while desecrating this symbol of our country. The order tries to sidestep the First Amendment in this way, meaning, in theory, if burning a flag sparks a riot or creates an immediate threat or violence, prosecutors could then charge someone, not for burning the flag itself, but for the violence that it incites. And as Christine said, if she saw someone burning the flag, it would incite her to violence. So it seems like it kind of makes sense in that way. But it's more complicated than that. Look at what happened to Charlie Kirk. He was shot and killed while speaking at an event in Utah. Authorities say a 22-year-old suspect disliked his views and killed him for them. He was incited, apparently, by Kirk's opinions. Now, we don't respond to that horror by outlawing Kirk's speech. He is the victim. We protect speech, and then we punish the violence. That's why incitement is such a narrow lane in the law. If someone chooses violence because they're offended, the answer isn't to ban the speech that offended them, it's to hold the violent person accountable. Christine also said, I would feel the same way if someone burns a flag from another country, and this just adds another wrinkle to the discussion, because you ask yourself, where does it end? What about burning pride flags, or MAGA hats, or BLM flags, or flags for fallen officers? What about religious symbols? Those could all incite violence in some people. If the rule is to outlaw whatever offends people, where does that stop? That's why our system protects all speech, even the offensive kind. Because the moment you start carving out exceptions, it's hard to agree on where to stop. Now, I understand so many of you feel differently about the American flag. I understand what it stands for and why it feels different than some of those other examples. I've also laid out, though, the court's arguments to why it's protected speech. You can find all that coverage on our website. If you have more questions, though, please let me know. Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.